Thanks for sending me all that. What is this one looking at? I think so. No. I do too. Do you know Karen Rhines? I didn't know her either way. She has a great what? I don't know. I think she's independent.
No, they should be giving them to us. I didn't print them out.
But she's
You're right. I left my file at home.
Surveyor Ryan
I'll look at my phone.
from, and she has the same history as I do. She's done abstracting for years and now works for the law firm. Understands the office, understands the records, understands the value.
Are you increasing or decreasing your budget?
Salary line. 528, I think it was 514, but we had a lot of ARPA money.
No, it's like a public comment at the end.
This is going down the
It didn't set the time to the meeting.
How you doing with the revenue this year?
Mayor, should we come later?
last year.
I don't want to
That's
get
page 2.
We'll respond to you. Well, they're working on it. It's just that it's make right to know request. It's all of the attorney, and I want to be able to get it to everybody.
How are you?
good, Mark?
So we'll answer your questions and then some.
Conversation will come with you as well? Sure.
I always leave it. I'm like, okay.
I know, it's a bunch of
Few. Yeah.
Yeah, but so, if there was so much. Did I give you one?
Marguerite does our real estate. So they did the courthouse. And they reviewed an easement that had the drainage. I think you had
Well, I'm not ready because I can't even read it.
And lock you in.
I can't bring my glasses. So.
the white pages. Sucks to do.
I have contacts. Where am I reading glasses? Okay, now, okay.
I'm on machine.
Yeah. They don't understand. That's all.
We'll get started. A little after 2, my apologies. Okay. I don't know what this is. All right. Representative Smith, do you want to lead us off in the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Our plan is for today to be gone before it's dark, which is 4 o'clock-ish. I know that is a robust time, but I think we can do it. If anybody is opposed, the sheriff is asked to be moved first. He has another commitment. Then we will hear the sheriff's budget first.
Okay, if we sit here.
You sit wherever you want, Sheriff. There's a request to increase the fees. Just want to go over that real quick.
Is that dues and fees?
HB 36, your fees for
Oh, sorry.
your writ services and stuff like that.
I got you. The separate letter.
Yep.
Yes, it's an annual thing that the delegation has to be asked to vote on as far as by law. 10431.
And will that increase or decrease your revenue that's in the budget?
It will make a very nominal increase.
No, he's doing it.
So it basically adds a $1.13 to the writ service.
Is that
Chair, I move the recommendation.
Thank you, Representative Woodcock. Seconded by?
I'll second that.
Oh.
Yeah, I want to do a...
Before we do that, we have to do an attendance.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah. 1 second, Sheriff.
For attendance, Representative Cordelli.
Here.
Conkey, aye. Smith.
Present.
Belcher. Brown.
Here.
Constable is not present. Crawford is not present. McDonald?
Here.
Thank you. Pettinell?
Here.
Bucco?
Here.
Sorry.
Go, Connor.
Bucco?
Present.
Thank you. Woodcock?
Here.
Burrows?
Here.
Thank you. McAleer? He's on his way. I saw him alongside the road somewhere. Not present right now. Page?
Here.
And Mr. Chairman?
Present.
Present.
Mr. Clerk, we have a first and a second on the increase, Sheriff's recommended increase, and questions.
Yeah. In the revenue lines, is that line 13401.012?
Yes.
Thank you. And so it's going to be slightly above the budgeted $60,000.
Correct. No.
If I, yeah. Again, we did this last year, and if there was any increase, it may show up. It all depends on how many writs we get during the year too. So we could get less this coming year, so it would make it less. So, and again, this is not subject to any tax base or anything, so it's only paid by the people that send us the writs to be served.
Right, okay. Thank you.
Any further questions for the Sheriff on his request? Mr. What?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So the motion has been made by Woodcock, seconded by
Brown.
And call the roll. Cordelli?
Yes?
McConkey's yes. Smith?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
McDonald?
Yes.
Pettinell?
Yes.
Bucco?
Yes.
Woodcock?
Yes.
Burrows?
Yes.
Page?
Yes.
And Mr. Chairman?
Yes. And while we are on the Sheriff's revenue side, are you comfortable with 341084, Sheriff? Or do you want to increase that 60,000?
If we have not increased the Albany agreement yet, that would increase it by 18,000, I believe. 18,300, I'm sorry.
Has that been approved, or you want to hold off on that?
The town of Albany doesn't vote, obviously, till March or April. I think it's March. So this is what the selectmen are proposing to the town. They believe it will pass, but again, that's up to the voters, so.
All right, we'll hold off on your revenue side.
Okay.
Your department budget is $2,220,813.16.
Exclude, yes, depending on the Albany Town Agreement again, there would be an increase on the sheriff's department if that is voted in, as far as expense. Roughly about just under $3,000.
I couldn't hear that amount. Was that $8,000?
3,000.
$3,000. And what line would that go in, if I could ask?
The 003, Sheriff's Department, Town
Town
Agreement.
agreements.
That would go to 42,200 instead of the 39,700.
Question, Mr. Chair.
Representative Woodcock.
Tom, why would that go up? Why would the fee go up like that?
The Town of Albany is, through the Select Board, increasing patrols in the Town of Albany, so the
Okay.
detail.
Okay, so it'd be more than you have?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
You're welcome. Do you want to make that change now, or do you want me to wait until your agreement is in writing?
I would be okay with that, making that now.
Okay. So it'd be 2223-81316.
222331316. Is that what you said?
2223-813.
Changing it to 42.2.
Just a $3,000 increase, correct?
42,200.
Yeah, I just changed it to 42.2, and it changed it to 2231316.
Okay.
Unless Excel's lying to me.
This is the expenditure.
Yes.
Under Sheriff, Town Agreements.
All right, 222-3313.16.
Correct.
We're there. Representative McDonald.
Good afternoon, Chef.
Afternoon.
Where'd you find the, why did you have 68,000 in the overtime? Where'd you find that money to cover that?
That came out of the deputy salary.
Follow?
Yes, sir, thank you. So are we at full strength? Any openings? Any new positions?
We have no position openings. There was a deputy deployed all year, well, 90% of the year. He is coming back within the next week or two, actually, so that would be great. And we still have a deputy out on workman's comp.
Okay. Thank you.
Representative Cordelli.
Thank you. Thank you, Sheriff. Again, the uniforms line, 052, expended as of the end of October was $2,100, but the request is for $11,000, which is, just wondering your reason for that amount.
Yeah, that has been the amount it's been for the last few years. That, as of October number, is way below what is actually expended at this point. Uniforms generally get ordered in the spring and winter, late fall. So obviously there were orders after this came out.
Would the finance director have an idea of the prior year, how much was expended?
Current to date before accruals is $7,122. Yep.
And there is another pending invoice for about 24.
Okay, so it's going to be close.
Further questions?
Follow-up, Mr. Representative Cordell?
Thank you. Radio expense, radio communication expenses, again, through October was $47, but the requested amount is $3,500.
Through today, $34.70.
Okay. One more?
If she please.
Generator. Last year's budget was $1,100, and we're now up to $3,600.
Yeah, the numbers that were given, that was the first time in this budget. It used to be in the maintenance budget for the building. And we had several repairs done this last year. So we're going to the higher end of the, if the I guess I would be okay with 2,500 if that makes a difference.
Mr. Murray?
Just a little clarity, the numbers that I gave Dominic in his previous budget were just for preventative maintenance. Any repairs, those are maintenance items, and I did not give him any numbers for those, so that's why probably the increase, he's adjusting for the increase on, who knows what's going to happen for repairs, but the original number was just for preventative maintenance only.
The original $1,100?
Yes.
Right.
So he's compensating for unanticipated repairs.
Right. Do you see any problem with his suggestion about $2,500?
It's a roll of the dice. We don't know what's going to go wrong. We don't know what's going to break.
I like the
We have
gamble.
3,600, don't we?
One second, we have a couple of hands. We have, is there one generator just for the sheriff's office, or is it just for the entire building?
Oh, no. For the 7 generators that I take care of, he's responsible for paying for 2 of them. The one up in Madison and the one at the top of the hill across the street.
So you have site generators for your radio equipment?
Yes.
Understood. So they're not on site, they are site-specific for communications if the power goes out to
Correct.
those towers?
Right.
Okay. Representative Woodcock?
Thank you. If I may, the $3,600 was initially projected, and I know that the sheriff said he could move it back to 25. My question is, what do you suspect is needed? I mean, if these are just repairs, they're not brand new, right?
Oh, no, they're definitely not brand
And
new.
how typically, what did you get on these repairs? I mean, what is the condition of the generator that should make it better?
The generators are maintained twice a year. They have a minor and a major PM twice a year, so they're in good condition. But as far as things breaking, it's you don't know.
Okay, thank you.
You don't know.
Okay, thank you.
It's better to have something than nothing.
Representative Brown?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So the question is kind of along the same lines as Mr. Woodcock, or Representative Woodcock's, is so you do 2 PMs a year, and what are the typical things that they find on that? Is it, because he's willing to go down from 36 to 25, my experience with PM is it's usually pretty consistent, the cost of repairs on those type of things, especially once they get to be a certain age, you replace certain components periodically.
Batteries are regular. I think there was a fuel problem on one of those generators. That's why there was an expensive repair. But as far as things breaking, they wear down, and you don't know. It's just like a car. You don't know when they're going to break.
No, I understand, but was there any, sorry,
Okay.
follow up, Mr. Chairman. So was there any deferred maintenance last year on this stuff that you are aware of? Is there, I mean, lots of times you'll defer it to the spring or something like that?
No, when it comes to the sheriff's generators or any of the generators, these are all life safety generators. I don't defer any maintenance.
Thanks.
Representative Cordell?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I would like to move a reduction in line 078 under the sheriff's budget from $3,600 to $2,500.
Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Representative Brown? Any further discussion?
Mr. Chair.
Representative Woodcock?
Thank you, sir. I'm going to vote against that. I think it's premature. We're talking about $1,000, and we're talking about life safety equipment, and we're talking about old generators. So it's $1,000 saving now. It's going to, may not be, maybe too costly in the future.
Thank you. Any further discussion on reducing this line? Mr. Clark?
Motion by Cordelli, seconded by Brown, to reduce the line item from 3,600 as shown in the budget under 4211 to $2,500. If you're in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye, and if nay, opposed. Cordelli?
Yes?
McConkey, no. Smith?
Yes.
Brown? Yes. Constable is not here. Crawford's not here. McDonald?
Yes.
Petnell?
Yes.
Bucco?
No.
Woodcock?
No.
Burrows?
No.
Page?
No.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
6 yes, 5 noes. Motion passes.
Representative Cordelli?
Nothing further there. I just wondered if the finance director had a new bottom line with that motion.
Yep. 2,222,213.16.
I thought I had enough twos. I don't know.
Yeah.
Representative Cordelli?
I would move the sheriff's department budget at a figure of $2,222,213.16.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Representative Woodcock. Any further discussion on the sheriff's budget? Mr. Clark?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Motion made to approve sheriff's budget, which is 4211, at the new number as stated. Motion made by Cordelli, seconded by Woodcock. If you're in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye. Cordelli?
Yes?
McConkey, yes. Smith?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
McDonald?
Yes.
Petnell?
Yes.
Bucco?
Yes.
Woodcock?
Yes.
Burrows?
Yes.
Page?
Yes.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Motion carries unanimous. Yes.
11, no. We have 11 members present. We have 12.
We have 11.
11? Thank you. Sorry, Mr. Clark. Dispatch. Do we have a year-end number on that? Close out, pretty close, 31st of December?
Prior to year-end, final accruals spent today, $862.06.
Give the whole, all the numbers, 862?
860,286 spent year to date.
Representative McDonald, pardon me.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, thank you.
Counting
Sheriff, how
numbers.
come you came so far under budget on this?
Not having the year in front of me, the dispatch, beginning in January, we're down 5 dispatchers of the 12. Throughout the year, we've been hiring and losing some of those hires. Currently, I just sent out the last 2 conditional offers to make it fully staffed. So, assuming that's the majority of it is the,
It is 98% of it, of the underspending.
Representative McDonald.
Thank you for the follow. Sheriff, would you be okay having the same amount that was budgeted in 2023?
I would not. Again, because if we lose people, that involves overtime being paid out. Hopefully we don't go that route because they were getting burned out towards the end. So I would, as far as the other lines in the budget, those were pretty tight. That I know.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Is that a hand? Representative Cordell.
Yes, I'm looking at 017, Education and Conferences. There was nothing expended through July. The budget last year was $3,000, and that's proposed for this year. I'm not sure what educational conferences the dispatchers would be going to. Maybe you could help with that.
Yeah, there were a couple of, on my side of the budget, that showed expenses paid. I do have to get with the CFO, I guess, to see where the miscommunication may have been. I know there were 2 dispatches that went to the county conference. And they are also involved in in-house training, which includes part of the budget, so.
If I could follow up. In-house training is performed by
It's a software, I'm sorry.
a software, okay. And the cost of the software or
Is on the
cost?
software. And also, there is a contract item that this budget covered as far as if they have a degree, they are paid out an amount of money depending on what the degree is. Same with the deputy's side. So that was part of the reason that line was adopted.
Would that payout, if I could?
Do a
Would
follow-up?
that payout come from the education and conferences line, however?
It was intended to. I believe the last few we have done was paid out of payroll.
That is correct. It needs to be paid out of payroll because it's compensation.
Right, right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if I might add, there was $894 posted through the end of the year for education and conferences. So that's the figure that the sheriff was speaking of.
That makes motion.
Representative Cordell.
Thank you. Yes, I'd like to move reduction in 4214017 education and conferences from $3,000 to $1,500.
Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Thank you, Representative Smith. Any further discussion? Any discussion?
If I could.
Sheriff, please.
I would be against that. Part of the reason that we don't even look at education for dispatches outside of the 4 walls is because we were down so many people. It was just impossible to send someone outside. So I think that would be discouraging now to cut that budget when maybe this year we have that opportunity. I know statewide they are trying to unite the dispatches as far as training and become more one as far as each dispatch center doesn't have different training. They want to make it more like police where everybody's trained the same. So I know that is in the works, and I would hope that we don't discourage or go away from that.
Representative Paranel.
Thank you. You mentioned that it's possible that some of the dispatchers were experiencing some burnout because of overtime. So I would possibly assume that attending conferences might reignite their interest and keep them on the job as opposed to it contributing to further burnout.
Yes, I would definitely agree with that. Any opportunity to get them outside and see different faces and not be doing the same thing, I think would be good. And again, they didn't have that opportunity last year because I couldn't do it. So I think this would be the year to go forward with that, if at all possible, and not to tell them that it's not going to happen by cutting the budget in half.
Mr. Chairman, Representative Burrows on Zoom.
Representative Burrows, 1 second.
Thank you. I have a question. Thank you for noticing me. I was curious to know if the training does anything in terms of training for safety, in terms of, helping the public, and if that training, not having that training could somehow be less advantageous to the public in terms of emergencies, et cetera.
Yes. With all the school shootings, Wolfboro had put on a class for that this year at the Kingswood, and we did send a couple of the deputies over. The hope was to send the dispatch supervisor over because they wanted a dispatcher from both Conway and us to attend that. We could not do it because there was just not the manpower to do it. So that would be one instance that to get them to active shooter training as far as the dispatch end of it go. And that was an exceptional class, I was told, that went on for 3 days, actually.
Follow-up?
Please.
Just a comment that I think there might be, I think that's something really important for us to consider before we chop that part of the budget. We're talking about public safety with something, when it involves gun safety, that could save lives. Thank you.
Thank you. Representative Woodcock.
Thank you. First thing I'd like to follow up on Representative Purdon's comment that I agree with her, that maybe that'll help. And we agree all the time. It's just, again,
We always
yeah,
agree.
maybe that would help a bit. The second part is that, just a procedure question, Sheriff. Do the dispatchers have a CBA?
They're part of the union.
Okay, so is the requirement for education covered in that?
That is covered under the contract as far as it spells out that the bonuses, the incentives for the continuing education is
Okay,
with that.
given this though. Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Representative Brown.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So, Sheriff, I know when I was on the fire department, a lot of the training we had on the radios was for interoperability with other agencies. And because we use the radios basically just local, but we didn't very often use that. Is that the type of thing that they would get for training, or do they have that training currently? Like state to state, that type of thing?
They have it. NETA is their organization as far as dispatch goes. So they have opportunities to go to their conferences, but again, because of the short-hiddenness, it just wasn't there. And locally, there isn't much done. There is warm zone training that maybe they can be part of throughout the state. That includes fire department, police departments.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Representative McConkey.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Sheriff, thank you. Taking the question. Education conference, in this discussion that came up from Representative Burrows and the active shooter program and 3-day training, would that have typically come out of education conference, or would that have come out of somewhere else?
That would have come out of there.
That would come out of education conference. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
You're welcome. Any further discussion? Mr. Clark?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Motion by Cordelli, seconded by Brown. I can't remember what it said. Smith. Thank you. to reduce line 17 by $1,000 from 2,500 to 1,500, education and conferences. If you're in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye. Cordelli?
Yes.
McConkey, no. Smith?
Yes.
Brown?
No.
McDonald?
No.
Pettinel?
No.
Bucco?
No.
Woodcock?
No.
Burrows?
No.
Page?
No.
Mr. Chairman,
No.
looks like 2 yes, 9 no, motion fails.
Representative Cordelli.
I believe the bottom line currently stands at $1,187,988.65.
1,108,988.65.
108,
1,108,988.65.
right.
Is that your motion?
I would move that amount for the sheriff's dispatch center.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
Second?
Thank you, Representative Pettinel. Any further discussion? Mr. Clark?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Motion by Cordelli, seconded by Pettinel to approve Department for Dispatch 4130 at the corrected number. If you're in favor of that motion, signify by saying aye. If you are not, you will be opposed to nay. Cordelli?
Yes.
McConkey, yes. Smith?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
McDonald?
Yes.
Pettinel?
Yes.
Bucco?
Yes.
Woodcock?
Yes.
Burrows?
Yes.
Page?
Yes.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
And the motion carries unanimous, 11 to 0.
Sheriff, do you have a capital?
Yes, it's 095 on the capital, and it's for 2 cruises, the amount of $72,414, for $414,000.
Second to last
Oh,
page in the packet.
Thank you.
Page 12 is on the page. Just so I'll be up front, the cruises were ordered in September because, again, Dodge stopped the line. They are not doing any 2024s. So the dealer that we got them from last time offered us to order cruises at the same price that we got them last year. So 2 were ordered. They would replace 2 current Fords that have been here for 4 years. Those are over 130,000 miles at this point.
So is there only 1 or 2?
There's 2.
2, 72,414. Representative McDonald?
I'm amazed at that price, that's a great price.
Yeah.
What are they, these Dodge,
They're the Dodge Chargers.
complete with all-wheel drive and all that? or-
Yes.
Wow, that's a great deal.
Can I get one, too?
Representative Cordelli?
Thank you. If they were ordered in the fall, wouldn't that amount be encumbered from the 2023 budget rather than 2024 expense?
No, maybe I shouldn't have. I took the liberty to make the order just in case. The dealer does state that if we aren't able to take them, we will be able to get rid of them. So there's no purchase order signed at this point or anything like that.
So there is no order?
Follow?
In effect, I'm sorry. Is that correct? There is no order? Because there's nothing in writing.
Other than the email.
Do the commissioners accept email as an order?
Do you have a question for the commissioners?
Yes.
Or the CFO?
Either the commissioners or the CFO.
I hate to answer that question without seeing the email, but if there's no guarantee or purchase order signed and the dealership is saying that if the sheriff decides not to take them, he can get rid of them, I don't really feel like there's a firm order in place to be able to encumber.
There's no obligation, if I may add that, to these orders.
Follow up. So what is the order dependent upon then? Whether the dealer can get them or not, or I'm not sure how things stand?
Budget approval is one, and if the dealer can get them, because we did place an order where it got canceled one year also.
That was 2020. Because I remember we had, I think you ordered 2 and it was canceled because of COVID. And you fell behind, on your cycle.
Correct.
Any further questions, Representative Cordelli?
Yes, so I'm not sure, the actual as of October 31st then was 142,000 plus. Does that include the two, what does that include?
No, that would be, we had 2 cruisers, plus, I believe, isn't that part of the dispatch
Correct.
renovation? Yes.
Which we got a transfer for, right?
Which was
Yeah.
encumbered, I believe.
There is a portion of it that's encumbered that has not been moved yet for the end of the year. And there's a portion that went over budget, approved by the commissioners, that there will be a transfer.
Thank you. What's that, Representative Cordelli?
Yeah.
Motion to approve 72414 for
So
2.
moved.
Thank you, Representative Woodcock. Any, do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you, Representative Brown. Any further discussion? Mr. Clark?
Mr. Chairman, motion to approve capital expenditure under 4901, item 95, $72,414. Motion by Woodcock, seconded by Brown. If you're in favor of that motion, signify by saying aye. Opposed, nay. Cordelli?
No.
McConkey? Yes. Smith?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
McDonald?
Yes.
Petnell?
Yes.
Luco?
Yes.
Woodcock?
Yes.
Burrows?
Yes.
Page?
Yes.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
motion carries 10-1.
Thank you. Any further capital expenditures this year, Sheriff?
No.
How is the dispatch room coming?
It's 90, just finished work is needed to be done, that's all. It's, came along nice.
You be inviting us over for a visit?
I'm always open doors, yes.
Thank you. Other than coming back for your revenue, if that passes in March?
I believe their vote is in March, I think third week or something like that.
That'll be tight for us if it's that late in March.
Yes, I would agree with that and hope that we don't need to wait for that. I will try and get, I mean, again, there's no guarantee up to the voters, but
Right.
I would dare say that it would be approved.
We'll have to wait and see, because that's a large number to move back and forth without approval. Thank you, Sheriff.
Thank you.
Our convention budget, 4110. I think it's the same as last year.
Slightly less. Your budget last year was $24,919. It's at $23,680 this year. current spending year-to-date is 8485, the big difference being the contingency audit of 15,000 that has not been spent.
Question, Mr. Chair. Is that, I don't know.
Yeah, Representative Woodcock.
Who I'm talking about, the contingency, that, is that an annual thing?
Well, you might want to ask the chairman. It has been an annual, and he felt it would be good to keep it in there as a placeholder in case another area popped up that special care needed to be spent on.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Pleasure. Any, Representative Cordelli.
Thank you.
Been a long week,
Thank you, Mr.
gentlemen.
Chairman. Yes, line 100, the performance audit contingency line, I would recommend it removing the $15,000 contingency. I think that we had that in the budget last year, did not use it and thought we might use it this year for certain things, but I think that the commissioners and administration have done a exemplary job in straightening out a number of problems that we had seen in the past, and so I do not believe this contingency line will be required in the 2024 budget.
Your motion is $1.
Yes, please make it $1.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Representative McConkey. Any discussion?
Question, Mr. Chair. The CFO a moment ago said that part of the dialogue or discussion on this line was, came through to the chair,
Or,
this insertion into the budget?
oh, it's just held over from last year.
Okay.
I just
so
had the same budget put through.
That's my question to you then is it your opinion as the chair of this that requested that there should be remain in there?
Say that again?
As the chair who requested this, is it your opinion that contingency audit should be left in there?
No. We've come a long way since we've had to use these through the years for our performance audits and other, not performance.
Thank you.
What were they?
Yeah,
The performance audits through
Yeah.
the years, and we've already left it in case we had to.
Good. Good.
Yep, thank you. Any further discussion? Mr. Clerk?
Motion by Cordelli, seconded by McConkey, 4110, county convention to reduce item number 100 from $15,000 to $1. If you're in favor of the motion, signify by saying yes. If you are opposed, no. Cordelli.
Yes.
McConkey, yes. Smith.
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
McDonald.
Yes.
Petnell.
Yes.
Bucco.
Yes.
Woodcock.
Yes.
Burrows.
Yes.
Page.
Yes.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
that is 11 affirmative. Motion carries unanimously.
Thank you.
Could we ask the
Yep,
Finance
she's doing it right.
Director?
Oh, are you waiting for me?
Yep.
I'm sorry. I'm off doing my own thing. $8,681.
81?
$81, yes.
$8,681.
Representative Cordelli?
Yes, I'd like to move the county convention budget 4110 in the amount of $8,681.
Do you have a second?
I'll second that.
Representative Brown, any further discussion? Mr. Clark?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. County Convention 4110, motion to approve by Cordelli, seconded by Brown. If you're in favor of the motion, signify by yes, and opposed, no. Cordelli.
Yes.
McConkey, yes. Smith.
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
McDonald,
Yes.
Petnell,
Yes.
Bucco,
Yes.
Woodcock.
Yes.
Burrows,
Yes.
Page.
Yes.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes,
The motion carries unanimous, 11 to 0.
thank you. Mr. Clark. Finance,
Mr. Chairman?
Representative McDonald.
Thank you. I just wanted to say something before we moved on. I was looking through some of the salary adjustments, and it looks like elected officials got an adjustment, and the sheriff didn't get anything. He didn't get any type of salary adjustment. Where the county attorney, the register of deeds, their salaries went up. I just wanted to bring it to the convention's attention.
I thought we put in a elevator for him.
I'm still showing it as 85,000. I apologize.
Is it up?
No, it's the same as it was for 2023.
Line item, please, for Representative
Sheriff's Department, 009, 4211.009.
Did they? Dominic didn't seem to think we did.
I thought we did.
I'm just not showing it on this document.
Melissa,
Yeah, I don't think there was.
thank you. We'll come back to that.
Thank you. 4211.009.
Nice catch.
All right. Finance, CFO.
Okay, budget requested is $489,024.36. That is a little less than a $32,000 increase from last year. We had an employee come on the health insurance plan that was not budgeted last year. We have lowered some of the expenses in the travel line. The CFO contract increased. The software is staying as is, although, and I think we can still do it within this budget. We're going to try to add a few more perks to the finance software. So really nothing that stands out. The auditing fee is over budget, but that includes both 21 and 22, and they have started the 23 audit, so there are a few fees in there for 23.
Representative Cordell.
Yes, a question on the software. I think I take it you're looking at add-on functionality to the existing software rather than perks?
Correct.
Okay,
Bells and whistles, I guess, is what I would call it.
okay. And maybe at some point you could just send us a note with what that software is and what the enhancements are.
Sure, of course.
Thank you.
Do you have another motion?
It's my turn today, huh?
The vice chair.
Yes, I would like to move the total finance budget, account number 4150, in the amount of $489,024.36.
Do we have a second?
Second Brown.
Thank you. Any discussion? Mr. Clark?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Motion made by Cordelli, seconded by Brown for finance, account number 4150 for the number as published. If you're in agreement with the motion, signify by saying yes. If you're opposed, no. Cordelli?
Yes.
McConkey, yes. Smith?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
McDonald?
Yes.
Petnell?
Yes.
Bucco?
Yes.
Woodcock?
Yes.
Burrows?
Yes.
Page?
Yes.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Motion carries unanimous, 11 to 0.
Thank you. Treasurer's 4151.
Total budget requested is $11,291.16, slightly lower than last year. Does have the fees in there for salary, and really not too much of a change.
Thank you.
Move the budget as presented.
Question?
I have a question.
Of,
In particular, the salary of the treasurer.
1 second. Representative Woodcock moves the budget. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Representative Page. Representative McDonald.
I was just inquiring why the salary was cut from $9,300 to $8,485.79.
Good question.
Go ahead.
The salary for the treasurer for 2024 is $8,400 even. I don't know why it says 93 for 2023 on this sheet. It perhaps should be 8,300. Might it be a typo?
It might be, but I can't tell you that right now.
Good catch, Representative McDonald. Quicker than I am, but
I wonder, Mr. Chairman, if the CFO has the actual for that line for 2023?
that would be great.
I do. Oh, actual for that line is 9,300. That says 80, yeah. Huh. Actual says 9,300. Oh, is that because of Hales?
He's also the treasurer for Hales location.
That's because of Hales. Sorry.
Right.
Two brains working together.
Light dawns.
Hold on.
Yep.
Yeah, everybody, hold on. Do we have a new number for that line? Because 9,300 was last year's. I don't think it should be going down.
No. And I don't have the Hales budget for this year. Number.
If you want to come back to it, I'll find it.
Okay, Human Resources, you're up. Thank you.
Good afternoon.
How are you?
Good, I'm seeing you in a bit.
Yes, that's a good thing.
Yeah, good point.
Your budget's 389,441.77. The high points looks like just in salaries, CFO.
Salaries, and one big adjustment is, and probably the bulk of the increase is due to the advertising, and I think, Linda, you could probably explain that just a tad.
Unfortunately, we've been jerked around a couple of times. We were initially using Indeed when I came on board, and it, like Amazon uses algorithms, which are a mystery. And you tweak and you work them, and some months your bill comes in at really ridiculous amounts, and then you tweak it some more and it goes down. But it has to do with how and where it's showing the postings. When we went on board with Civics HR last year, Indeed was included in that price. So we lost that fluctuation. So, well, apparently Indeed decided they weren't making enough money because they no longer allow that. You can't get it included in an HRIS, because it was also offered through Criterion and a number of other HRIS systems, and that is no longer the case. So I'm now back going directly to Indeed. So instead of paying that money to my HRIS, it's having to, and I've had to bump up the advertising. The good news is we don't have as many openings as we did. We actually ended the year with a net gain of 5 employees, and in 2022 we had a net loss of 14. So we are moving in the right direction. You know, slow and steady, not as fast as I'm sure the hiring managers would like, but that's the bulk of this, is that we're going to end up having to go direct with, and Indeed is the job board being used by the bulk of candidates? Depending on the type of position, I use other, like with Director DeWitt, when we were interviewing or advertising for plow drivers, they're not hanging out on Indeed.
No.
So we went with newspaper ads, we went with Craigslist, so I target the recruiting depending on the position that we are trying to fill. But Indeed is the flavor of the month, for lack of it, but for those of you old enough, you remember Monster, and before that it was something else. These job boards come and go in popularity, but Indeed is the one where we are most successful.
Representative Cordelli.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So just so I'm straight on the advertising versus software lines. So the cost of Indeed is in the advertising line.
Correct, the software, I'm sorry.
That's okay. Follow on?
Please, follow up.
If I'm correct, then the software line, 090, is for your HRIS system, and that's an annual charge?
Actually, the bulk of my software is payroll.
Oh, right.
Payroll
Yeah. Okay.
processing is under my budget as well. So
Right.
that's the bulk of that, actually. We are charged each week.
Right.
So
Follow up.
And you are still using the same payroll service that you have for the past several years?
checkmate, that is correct.
Right. Follow up one more time?
Please.
And several years ago, there were a number of problems with that service. So I take it those problems have been rectified and things are working smoothly with them at this point?
They are, we now meet with them on a semi-monthly basis. We actually meet with the programmer. And there are times where he just, on the fly, we're having the meeting and we ask for, and he starts typing and poof, we've got to change. So it is tremendously better. Absolutely.
Thank you.
Absolutely, I'm very pleased.
Representative Brown.
So, just for me, I don't understand what you're saying about there's a software cost in the advertisements. Is that for the Indeed program or whatever, the access to that, or what is that?
So the advertising cost is, we are, Indeed works a couple of different ways. You're either charged by the number of applicants you receive or the number of clicks on your job posting. It's cheaper, even at this dollar figure, to go with clicks, cost per click, because their cost per application ranges from $40 to $60, depending on what they consider the importance of the position. That's whether I like this person or not. So it cost me $40 to look at a resume I might not even want.
Okay, I understand that.
Follow up.
So how many positions are we anticipating that we're going to advertise for this year? How many open positions, that type of thing?
We've got, the bulk of my recruiting is corrections, although I'm down to only 2 positions there, which is wonderful. The bulk of that's at the nursing home with LNAs and MNAs. Off the top of my head, I think there's 17 LNA/MNA positions. That's the bulk of those are the folks that directly care the residents. So that's the most of those folks that we have.
Thank you.
Just a quick follow-up. So that's 17 that's currently open, but that rotates throughout the year? Is that
Yes.
what you're saying? Okay, thank you.
President McDonald.
Thanks for taking my question. Are we doing any, like, some counties, some places are doing free training? You becoming LNA, are we doing any of that?
Yes, I've been working with the new administrator. We've written a policy, and we are absolutely, what's been really great is both bringing in people as well as amplifying and investing the staff we already have. We've had some folks, for example, I had 2 recreation people that got their LNA and they moved over. So seeing movement within the organization has been really exciting.
And I just got a follow-up for you. Where is that in the budget? How are you paying for that, for the training? For somebody to come in and train or for them to go to
That's been
training?
coming out of the education budget for MBC.
Okay, thank you.
Representative Cordelli.
Thank you. Looking at line 029, criminal records. A couple of questions. Does that refer to background checks on new employees, and the county pays for those background checks rather than the employee, I take it?
Yes.
One more?
Oh, sure.
Where are those, there's a criminal record checks, I take it, and who performs those checks for us?
We've actually complete a form and it goes down to Concord. And I'm embarrassed to say I'm not sure which
State police.
department does that, but we go online and fill out a form and it,
Okay. Thank you.
Representative Woodcock.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good morning, how are you? Good afternoon, how are you? Just a question, you talked to your +5 now on employees. So where are we on nurses in the nursing home, and where are we on dispatches? I heard the sheriff talk about the dispatches still getting short and short, and they're almost there. And the nursing home, I heard you mention LNA and stuff, but where are we on RN?
okay, so, yeah, so the 2 conditional offers have gone out to dispatch. If those are both accepted, we are fully staffed in dispatch. So
Okay.
that's exciting news. As far as the nursing facility, we have 24/7 coverage, so it's this crazy mix of full and part-time people to cover all of those holes, and in keeping with our ratios of 1 staff member per certain number of residents, we're filling quite a bit of the LNA positions, because we have 4 neighborhoods, and you have to kind of do the math.
Right.
So that's the bulk of where we're recruiting is the LNAs. We have 2 unit manager positions open, which are RN level, but the bulk of it is the lower level, certificate level people, LNA.
Follow.
Thank you. So going back to the RN piece, not the unit manager, the people,
Okay.
the actual hands-on practicing RNs, where are we on those? And we had, I know we'll probably see it in the nursing home budget, we had but the hiring goes to you.
Correct.
Right, so where are we on the overtime issue in the, basically how many real nurses we had doing real nursing, or that the full shot
Well,
10,
the
shot 5?
quote-unquote real nurses are full. We only are recruiting that for the unit managers who are RNs.
Right.
But floor nurses, we are fully staffed at. It's the LNA and the MNA where we are hurting.
So, thank you. So the final, just go following that thinking is, so the agency fees that we heard about all last year, that $1 million stuff, that's down, gone?
I'm not sure where their agency fees are. I honestly,
Okay.
that's contract labor, and so I'm not managing that.
Okay, thank you.
I'm
Thank you,
sorry.
Chair.
You're welcome. I'm sure we'll get into that when we hear their budget.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. Representative Cordelli.
Thank you. Please correct me if I'm wrong, but with the LNAs, I think last year there was a new contract that provided some additional funding as well as a salary adjustment for them, and that seems to have worked. Am I correct?
Yes, sir.
Thank
Yes,
you.
We're very pleased with how that went.
Thank you. Representative Cordelli.
We're talking about
HR.
HR. I remember.
How soon we forget.
So I would move the Human Resources budget 4155 at $389,441.77.
Do you have a second?
You do? I second
Representative
it.
Brown, thank you. Any further discussion? Mr. Clerk?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Motion by Cordelli, seconded by Brown, account number 4155, Human Resources, the amount is published.
Yes.
If you're in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye. If you're opposed, nay. With that, Cordelli.
Yes.
McConkey, yes. Smith.
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
McDonald.
Yes.
Pennell.
Yes.
Bucco.
Yes.
Woodcock.
Yes.
Burrows.
Yes.
Page.
Yes.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, the group is still together, 11-0 unanimous.
Thank you. Keep up the good work.
Thank you, sir.
Registry, Yes, Melissa.
If I could go back to the elected official salary
Sure.
question. The sheriff's salary was set at $85,000 for 2023 and 2024, so there's no increase
Okay.
this year for the sheriff. And the treasurer, the line in the budget is missing the Hale stipend, so that needs to be increased to 9,400.
9,400 and,
94.
yeah.
So we
And I
haven't
have a
done-
new number.
So we haven't done Hale's budget yet, so we can't do that yet. Yeah. I tried to get, trying. All right, registry of deeds.
Good afternoon.
Good to see you again, registrar.
Thank you. Mr. Chairman, would we like to do the expenditures and the revenue?
I want to see if you have any questions on your budget yet. Any questions for the registrar? Just give us a quick overview then,
Okay.
and how you're finding stuff in the county going on.
Well, in terms of real estate transactions, we're down. There are a number of reasons. There is not much out there on the market. It's the biggest one. So big price tag transactions are still occurring, and some smaller ones. Also, the interest rates are really high. It makes it very difficult for first-time home buyers or any home buyer to get a loan. And people are worried. People are worried about the state of the world right now, and it seems to be having an effect on whether they want to make big changes or not at this moment. So our volume is down. It's not down as bad as I thought it was going to be. We prepared last year for a 25% decline, and it's a 10% decline for 2023 in terms of the revenue. The expenditures were fine. You don't have the end of the year numbers here, but there are a lot of things that I don't know if you have the end of the year numbers.
I do.
But there's still things outstanding in terms of bills haven't come in yet for some things that we've ordered. We were fine with the expenditure budget, and the expenditure budget for this year is up basically due to salaries increases. I think we can pretty well hold the line on a small increase there. So I believe you all have in the packet that I gave you, the letter that I wrote to you all in October. And I just want to point out that the proposed 2024 budget from the general fund, the number's a little bit off because Bonnie changed the numbers for the standard things across the board, like electricity and those after October. So I didn't update this because you'd already seen it. But last year we had ARPA money funding part of our expenditures, and this year we do not have ARPA money. I'm asking that, and you've already approved, me using $27,500 from the deeds equipment account for 2024 expenditures. And so the balance would come from the general fund, 526, and last year it was 511. But we used almost 40,000 from the deeds equipment account, plus we had ARPA money, 6,000 ARPA money. So if you look at the total operating expenses, without the bond, they're down for projected next year. And the bond payment is significantly less in 2024 than 2023. That amount,
We'll get to that, because I think that's in a different
Yeah.
area.
it is in a different area.
Yeah, so your budget's 528,693.39?
That's correct. 528,693.39.
Question if I might?
Certainly.
Line 024, contracted equipment and services. Could you fill us in a little bit on the increase in that line? Is that what were you referring to with ARPA money and so forth?
Exactly. It's that 6,000 that was paid from ARPA last year that is not going to be paid from ARPA again, because the ARPA money is used.
Right. And who is the contractor for those contracted services?
It's AIT LLC. It's our land records management
Right.
system vendor.
Thank you.
Yes.
Did you make that motion? Do you want to change it on, or are you all set?
I have a question.
Representative McConkey.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Madam Registrar, I am always ecstatic when we file a lot of documents related to my business, and many times it's tied to properties and so forth, and I'm happy when I get the notice saying that someone is filing something on my name on my property, and I believe that's something that you had started notifying people if someone was, and I think that's absolutely wonderful. I rarely come into the registry anymore because I can do everything online, and I'm especially appreciative of that. With that, and not having to have a component, I'm imagining as many people having to come in there, where are you looking at staffing as we go through? Are we still sitting at the staffing levels we had prior to enacting that program? Are you down in staff, or are you still at the same capacity as you were years ago?
We are down from the staffing level prior to me being registrar. We're down 2 people. We are still at the same level that we have been at for the past 4 years or so, and there's good reason for that. When you do a land records management transition to another system, it's really the first time that the electronic records have been overhauled. They were created as backup images for archival purposes in case the registry burned down, God forbid. So in the process of transitioning to the new system, which is much more efficient and costs a very fraction of what we were paying, it's created a very much work for us all, and our staff are working every minute of every day. And we're probably, if I were to give a percentage of the work needed for a transition for the electronics, it's about 70% now. And then once we finish that, there are numbers of records that haven't even been touched in terms of getting them onto the database. I don't see that the staffing level will decrease, and I just don't see it happening. When we have projects to do to keep us up to snuff, you know, it may happen in a few years, but it's not going to happen anytime soon. We're working straight out. I'm in there every day, plugging away just like the staff are. It's not an easy job, I've got to say. But we're getting there. Getting there.
Thank you.
Representative Cordell.
Thank you. Just back to the contracted equipment and services.
Sure.
What then is the amount of the contract for their services for this year?
Well, there are 3 different parts to the contract.
Right.
There's the, where are my notes?
Does the 13,440 reflect the total payment to that vendor?
No.
No.
6,240 of the amount, which is what ARPA paid last year.
Right.
Is for hosting service agreement and monitoring and failover systems. $27,500 is for the maintenance and support and the rental of the whole system. So the total that we spend from AIT is, what is that, 27.5 and 6,240.
Right.
32,000.
We were spending over $100,000 a year with our prior vendor. We did purchase this system. ARPA money did pay for it
2 years ago. So we did have an initial outlay, but in the projections that I did, which you all saw back before we did this, it paid for itself. It's paying for itself very quickly. The contract is stable for the first 5 years at the 27.5 figure, and it is indexed to CPI from years 6 through 10. So there will be an increase year 6.
Right.
We're in year 2 right now.
I guess I'm still confused. If the total contract for AIT is in the $33,000 price range, but the contracted equipment and services line is $13,000, where do we find the additional $20,000 in expenses for AIT?
27.5 coming out of the Deeds Equipment account. If you look at the front of
Okay,
this,
yeah, on your letter, yes.
but on this as well, the one I handed you today, the top sheet, which is mostly done for the revenue portion of the budget, but at the very bottom left, it shows you exactly what our office costs for 2024. And it shows you that the 27.5, which you already voted on, is coming out of the equipment account, and we've paid the first quarter on that already. And the bond obligation at 434, and then the expenditure budget, the 528, which includes the 6,240.
So if this line reflects the removal of the ARPA funding of 6240, what else is in the 13,440 if the 27,000 is coming from the deeds equipment account?
Okay. There are other things. Microfilm, for one, which we still haven't gotten our bill on for this year. I have an estimate of $5,000 for that for last year and this year. Internet, if we had to go back to working from home, which we were prepared to do for this storm, not for an illness situation or a pandemic, but the internet for the staff having to use their systems, that is $3,000. Zoom, and 6,240 for the network hosting and data recovery.
Right.
So for this year, it's $14,440.
So I'm just not sure where those additional expenses, the internet, et cetera,
If,
are.
if we have to work 2 of the staff
Right, but where are they in the budget is what I'm asking.
under
Where-
contracted equipment and services. We didn't work off-site this past year, so we
Okay,
didn't use
right.
that. And we haven't gotten a bill for microfilm yet, so
So
I
that's-
haven't submitted
right.
that yet.
Okay, so I'm sure we can get a detail for that 13,400, the contracted services then.
Once I get the bills, yes.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
I need that back.
Yeah. Thank you.
Sure.
Representative
Yes. I guess I would like to move the total 528,693.39 for the total registry budget, line 4193.
Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Representative Brown, thank you. Any further discussion?
Thank you.
Mr. Clerk?
Motion made by Cordelli, seconded by Brown, account number 4193, Registry of Deeds, for the amount is published. If you're in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye. If you are opposed, nay. Cordelli.
Yes.
McConkey, yes. Smith.
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
McDonald.
Yes.
Petnell.
Yes.
Bucco.
Yes.
Woodcock.
Yes.
Burrows.
Yes.
Page.
Yes.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
motion carries unanimous, 11-0.
Thank you. We have a bond. Is that somewhere other than revenue?
For the bond payment for registry? Yes,
Page 12.
page 12. Registry bond principal payment is $290,000, and interest is $144,065.
You like looking that up.
Page 11 and 12.
It starts on page 8 and for principal, and page 9 is the interest.
Yep, now I got it. It's 11 and 12.
11 and 12 are on it, yeah.
Oh,
Motion to approve Departments 4711098 registry project, 290,000.
So moved.
Thank you. Second.
I'll second.
Thank you. Any questions? Mr. Clerk?
Thank you. Motion made by Cordelli, seconded by Brown. Account number 4711, item 098, registry project. The amount is as noted. If you're in favor of the motion, you signify by saying aye. If you're opposed, nay. Cordelli.
Yes.
McConkey, yes. Smith.
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
McDonald.
Yes.
Petnell.
Yes.
Bucco.
Yes.
Woodcock.
Yes.
Burrows.
Yes.
Page.
Yes.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, motion carries 11-0.
Thank you. 4721 on the next page, -2321098 registry product, 144,065 for interest. Motion to approve, Representative Cordelli,
Yes.
seconded by Representative Brown.
Yes.
Thank you. Mr. Clerk?
You're rolling, Mr. Chairman.
Well, it's 3:30.
Motion by Cordelli, seconded by Brown. I don't have the account number, sir.
21.098.
Thank you. If you're in favor of the motion, you'll signify by saying aye. If you're opposed, nay. Cordelli.
Yes.
McConkey, yes. Smith.
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
McDonald.
Yes.
Petnell.
Yes.
Bucco.
Yes.
Woodcock.
Yes.
Burrows.
Yes.
It's not there. Page.
Yes.
And Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
Motion carries 11-0.
Okay, next, bond, done. Anything else we need to do for the registrar? We have your regular revenue to do.
Yes.
That is on page 2.
2.
Registry income, 744,208. Do tell.
Okay. The budget is usually prepared using an annualized formula. Last year, and I propose this year, we cut a little bit out of that, that we use 25% less than what the annualized formula suggests. And that would be the blue column on this sheet. That is what Bonnie and I had.
May not be from it.
Pardon?
Is there a question, Representative Burrows?
No, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Bonnie and I had a conference, and we came to the same conclusion that we should be conservative. Of course, it's up to you. I've given you 3 figures to work from: 17% down, 25% down, or 30% down. Like I said, this year we did better than I thought. We were only down 10%.
Well, we did lower it from our original projection as well. We actually lowered it.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yes.
Do you want to take another 270,000 out of that? What did we end with the year? My apologies. What did we end the year with?
858, 885. Well, that was through October. I don't have the final revenue figures
The
yet.
final is over $1 million, 1013, I believe.
So we're
1,013,000.
fairly close to what we budgeted.
We budgeted.
Oh, year-to-date's right here, 1016809.
What was our budget?
Our budget last year was
892,489.
So we came over budget.
We did,
by-
we came over
Okay.
budget, we were over budget at the end of October. So that felt real good, better than being under
I would
budget.
think so. So if we took a couple $100,000 out of that, it would be 821 number?
The 17% figure?
Yeah.
Our January numbers are slow.
Down from
We're
last
only a
year,
few days
or-
in.
Aren't they,
Representative Cordelli?
aren't they typically down in January?
Yes.
Yeah.
Question, Chair.
Representative Woodcock?
Thank you. I may have missed it. Did the CFO have a recommendation on this?
That was my next
Yes.
question.
Yes.
CFO, you have
Follow up, may we
recommendation?
have that?
We certainly, we will get that right now for you, sir.
Thank you.
Yes, the blue column,
Yep.
Lisa and I sat down and we went through the numbers and what her projections were. We looked at all three of those scenarios, the 17, the 25, and the 30, and based on her projections, which I trust completely, we both agreed that we should be conservative at the 25%.
Thank you.
Representative Brown?
I know we did this last year, so I just want to make sure I understood, because I remember this conversation. We reduced it by how much last year because of similar issues?
25.
We did,
It
yeah.
was 25% last year from the actual number, and we're doing it 25% again last year.
From the annualized formula, actual number, yes.
Okay, so follow it.
Yes.
So from the, how does the formula compare to the actual end of year?
The formula is, you take the first 9 months.
No, the dollar number, that's all I'm saying.
How does it compare to the end of the
Yeah,
year?
the actual, from the formula, what was the number, and then compared to the actual revenue that we got?
The formula said from last year that we should project 984,000. It's the green column,
Okay.
so it's quite different. It's 25% off of that formula, the blue column.
Right, excuse me, if I
Yeah.
think I understand your
Yeah.
question, he's looking at 2023. What was the annualized formula indicating for 2023 as compared to what we see here as 2023 year-to-date?
I don't know if I have last year's formula here. Well, can we do that backwards? The budget plus 25%. So if it's 892, what's 25% of 892?
A couple $100,000.
So,
So it would put us right in the range of the actual. Right.
I think the formula is a little bit over the actual.
892 times 1.25.
1,115,000.
Which we wouldn't have made. We didn't make 1,100,000. We made 1,016,000.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
that's where I was trying to go with it, just
Yep.
trying to get a feel. Thank you.
Further questions of the registrar on the revenue number for 2024? Any further thoughts on which percentage we go with the 17, 25, or 30? The yellow, blue, or pink?
I would go with the blue. That was Democratic. Well, no, The 25%, Mr. Chair.
Representative Woodcock moves 744-208. Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Thank you, Representative Smith. Do any further discussion? Mr. Clerk?
Motion made by Woodcock, seconded by, I didn't hear.
Smith.
There's a new name. 77428, I believe, was the number we were,
208, 744-208.
thank you. If you were in favor of that motion, you signify by saying aye. If you're opposed, nay. We will call the roll. Cordelli?
Yes.
McConkey? Yes. Smith?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
McDonald?
Yes.
Cadnell?
Yes.
Buka?
Yes.
Woodcock?
Yes.
Burrows?
Yes.
Page?
Yes.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
motion carries unanimous 11-0.
Thank you, Registrar. We don't have anything else for you, right?
That's all. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Who is next? Mr. Murray, County Buildings?
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. So we have two 4195,
4195.
page 7 and 8. Give us a quick overview.
Very quick overview is we have the reduction of the old courthouse that's gone. And everything else is more or less level funded. Had a couple of additions in this building and grounds. We upped the maintenance budget in this building because we're using it more, and we had a couple of repairs last year that were quite costly. So went from $5,000 to $10,000. The care of grounds budget, typically budget that at $1,000 to cover plants and mulch and whatnot. But we put in $15,000 for the Tower Road repair. That $15,000 we do expect to recover from FEMA, but we have to pay for it first.
You have to expend it in order to get it reimbursed.
That's correct. Other than that, it's a pretty non-spectacular budget.
My favorite. Representative Cordelli?
A question if I could?
Please.
Care of Grounds, 08901, is up to $16,000.
I just explained that.
The road repair.
Road, okay, I'm sorry.
Okay.
I was
I'm happy to
checking
do
on
it
something
again.
else.
That's the FEMA money.
I'll watch the video.
Follow-up?
Follow-up would be, did I miss also the Maintenance Administration building line?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, good. I'll check the video there also.
We'll come back to you. Representative McConkey?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Bob, thank you for being here. If, under care of grounds, what about the condition of pavement around this building? Is that in your budget or is that in Public Works?
Around this building specifically,
Yeah, if I were to drive out of here and I were to take a left and I were to come back on County Road, whose care of grounds budget does that fall under?
it usually, the care of grounds usually falls under my budget. Even though Will administers care of grounds.
Okay, so my question, if I could, Mr.
Please,
Chairman?
yep, clarification?
So, we're anticipating some major changes to this, and if you can't answer these questions today, sir, we'll take them up another time. Some renovations of this building. It looks to me that parking over in this side could be an issue. I don't know if that's being handled with those improvements. But my concern is the condition of the asphalt leaving this building, going out of here and not being repaired. So are we anticipating that a coating will be put over everything, or where would I find the answers to that?
Well, there's nothing in the budget currently for those repairs. if I'm encouraged, if I'm encouraged to do that, I'm happy to put it in, but quite a few years ago, I was instructed by the delegation not to put a pound and nail into this building that I didn't have to. So that includes...
So this is outside the building, so
Yeah, I
you're
know.
okay.
I realize that. So I haven't spent any money that I didn't have to, and I'm not projecting to spend any money that I don't have to on this building, which includes the parking lot. If the commissioners would like me to start going in that direction and doing some budgeting for parking lot repair around this building, I'm more than happy to, but it's not in the budget right now.
Parking lot repair and roadway is what I'm saying,
Mhm.
the roadway.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Representative Cardinal.
Thank you.
Second.
Can you refresh my memory, without me having to do the math, how much are we saving the county with the sale of the courthouse, taking that off of our budget here?
Well, I originally, last year, I think I put in $40,000, but we didn't end up budgeting 40. It was somewhat less than that. I don't remember off the top of my head what the courthouse specific was. Somewhere around $15,000, if my memory serves me correctly.
I thought we loaded it with oil, turned on.
That was my original.
Some maintenance.
Yeah.
There was a little upfront cost with that, and then
Yes.
we lowered it because we were
Yes.
moving on with it.
Yes.
Okay.
Your memory serves you correctly.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Representative McDonald.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Line 009901, salaries. That looks like about an 8.5 or 9% increase on that salary. Went from 72,616 to 78,858.80. I don't know if this should be directed at the commissioners, or, I guess what I'm trying to figure out is if we're gonna see the same amount of increase for each employee that's like this.
How many employees does this include, Bob?
1.33.
So this is a shared cost between other...
Correct. It takes care of the maintenance man at the administration building and 1/3, or 30% of my salary.
Thank you.
Is that, just to follow up, is that
Sure.
like a 4% raise, a 3% raise?
I see some help from Bonnie.
It's been a long time since I did the labor schedules. It is a 3% raise for anybody making over 55. And then $1, and then it was $1.50 for anybody under. So, under.
Thank you.
Well, so it wasn't a flat
Correct.
percentage across the board?
Correct.
Thank you.
Yep.
Representative Cordell?
Yes, just a point of information. Just the property tax through October on the county courthouse was over $2,200.
Yeah, there was an explanation of that.
We give them an abatement.
Representative Cordell?
Okay, county facilities budget of $253,650.41, line under 4195. I moved be accepted.
Second?
I'll second that.
Representative Brown, thank you. Any further discussion?
Account number 4195, county facilities, motion made to accept the published amount by Cordelli, seconded by Brown. If you're in favor of the motion, you signify by saying aye. If you're opposed, nay. Cordelli.
Yes.
McConkey, yes. Smith.
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
McDonald.
Yes.
Bednell.
Yes.
Bucco.
Yes.
Woodcock.
Yes.
Burrows.
Yes.
Page.
Yes.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
motion carries unanimous, 11-0.
Thank you. You staying for DPW?
No,
Okay.
unless you want me to, but I have no reason to.
Then you're free to go.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Murray.
Appreciate your time.
Thank you, Bob.
DPW 4302. You want to take this, Mark? It's on page 10, bottom.
Did you ask me to take that?
Yeah.
Why don't you go on those questions?
All right. Budget seems pretty tight.
Yes, sir.
Yep. Give us a quick overview.
Yes, sir. Just one quick thing I was going to try to add, to try to answer Representative McConkey's question about the parking lots out here. It's definitely been a top priority of mine. As you can tell, it's very rough out there. I believe a future grant is looking at some of that, I think is what they've been working on. We have had pavement guys out giving us estimates for that, so it is definitely in the works. It's just not in this particular budget. Quick overview. Everything's pretty tight. There's a couple of small increases in line items. To point out the water testing, for example, we got a big testing year this year with the alphas and the radons and uraniums. Another one was the septic removal. I increased that. I got a couple of tanks that we only do every so many years that I would like to have pumped out and cleaned this year. Salt sand went up a little bit. At the time when we did the budget in October, you know, we've seen some increase in salt prices, but obviously we had a good December, so we're sitting okay, I think, on that. We had a slight increase in the software for the department. That's our GSI system for the water system. That's that one for that, and that's pretty much about it for increases on our budget. I feel like we've got it for what we normally do. We've got it honed in pretty good. The last several years we have had minor increases in mine, and hope that that we can continue that way.
Representative Brown.
We've been talking a lot recently about the water system, and my understanding is there's some valves and that type of thing that had to be replaced or upgraded. Is that in this budget?
No, sir. Everything we've done. I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman.
Please. Yeah.
Everything we've done in the water upgrades has all been ARPA money. Quick overview is, if you imagine starting at the top of the hill and working our way down, we've had 2 new pumps put in 3 of our wells. We've had a hydrologist come out and give us an estimate of our capacities. We've had a lot of repairs up there in the wells. We're now working our way down through the tank in the chlorination building. We're also looking at all new meters for the whole system. We're looking at new fire hydrants to be installed. And we're starting a process of looking at upgrading the old Route 28 line. Hopefully that's going to be coordination with the town of Ossipee when they look at paving that at the same time. And that's within the next year to 2 years, I believe, on that one. So we're kind of working our way down the hill.
So that's all covered under this ARPA grant?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Representative McConkey.
Thank you, Will, thank you for being here. I have a couple questions. So the ARPA funds we're using to reservoir water and our lines, and thank you, finally, we have money now for meters, so we know how much is being used everywhere. My understanding is, I haven't heard it yet from you, is that the study you're seeing on what our capacity is that it looks like our capacity with what we have for wells and storage is no more than what we have now, which is we're supplying the county complex and we're supplying the village below, and that there might be a few thousand gallons extra out there.
Correct. Our capacity versus our usage are pretty close, like you said, maybe just a little bit more capacity, but not significant. The final analysis of the official one from the hydrologist, I always pronounce that wrong, but it hasn't come back yet, but all the preliminary numbers that we've gathered from that, we did a whole month of testing and running wells on and off in November. Everything coming back looks like we have enough to supply with what we have here and use currently, but for any addition to the county water system, we'd have to be looking at a new source probably.
Okay. Well, thank you, yes. Will, so we build a new nursing home, and we still use the building that we're sitting in right now. We're going to use this building for more if all of our grant money and everything passes through. Is the capacity here to utilize the kitchen and what we're going to do on the existing system? Is that your understanding, or does that need more discussion? you have a kitchen over there, we have a kitchen here. And I'm gonna ask the same question about sewer. How do we remedy that? How can I be assured that there's enough for all the uses you wanna do here?
So my understanding is they did have a number, I don't know off the top of my head, that they equated to this building. I think it was primarily based on office space because this wouldn't be occupied, and probably a small amount of usage in the cafeteria here. If they were using this full time, I think we'd have to reevaluate that. I don't think the engineers put that kind of numbers in. I think they just based it on that. So those numbers they put in were fine. If this becomes a full kitchen, that might be another discussion. And on the sewer side, again, at this point, we're fine, but we're very on the borderline of having to, I don't know the exact numbers, but I had an inspection done, and they looked over what we're doing in the numbers, and they said, we're okay for now, but we're very on the cusp. If we added a lot more sewage going in, that we would have to be upgrading our system and upgrading our licenses and all the things that would go with the upgrade, with the increase in the amount of that's going through the system.
So, the sewage from the nursing home, is that going into fields over there, or part of that's going into field, or is all of the sewage going to our waste treatment?
Yes, sir. So the nursing home, as we look right out here, there's 3 5,000-gallon tanks. It flows into there. The primary tank is pumped out every other month. The other two are on 3-4 year schedules. They don't get done very often because it's done every other month. The water itself, so that collects the solids, the water itself goes down to our system, and it goes through our grinder building, goes through our clarifiers and is processed, and then goes out to our septics that are out back.
Okay, thank you for that. So the only thing we have out in this field are the tanks that are holding solids and so forth, and then it's going into our wastewater treatment.
3 tanks for sewage and 3 tanks for grease.
Okay, thank you. What do we still have over here out of this kitchen? Is that still connected to the wastewater after it goes through the grease tank and the other?
Correct. They have a small tank out front. They have a grease tank out back, I believe, and then their water goes down to the grinder building into our system. Everything flows into our system.
And just in general terms, well, how old is our wastewater treatment system?
2003 was when, 2003, I think 2001 was the water system. 2003 was upgraded at the same time the jail was built. That all went in at the same time. So we're looking at going on 21 years this year.
21 years. Do you have any feeling with your people in the industry what life is of that sort of system?
Correct. We're right at that right now. We've been having some this last year. We had to put a new grinder in the grinder building. We had a lightning strike that took out a bunch of things down in our sewer system. That might have been a blessing in some ways because some of it was probably close to the end of its lifetime. But that's been covered. A lot of that has been covered by the insurance. So there's some more things that could go wrong in there, and possibly there's a few small upgrades I'd like to do at some point. But I don't really have a crystal ball to say I know things are going to go. I just know we're at the age that everything is, in that ballpark. And we've kind of been at this point where when they go bad, then we've been replacing them. So those parts are good, and then we'll have other parts that are not.
Thank you. Could I continue? Mm-hmm. And perhaps an opine here. Knowing the age of our sewer system, this is more of a would you believe, knowing the age of our septic system, our wastewater treatment. And it appears after several years or a full year of studying our water system, that even after we make all the money, we make all the repairs, and we get the capacity, if we get the system working the way it should be, there's no increased capacity for the water system. And we're getting close to aging out on our sewer system. We're talking about more uses here, and Lands Advisory Committee's been looking at other projects and so forth here, and we've always been talking about remote, developers would be putting remote sewer in, remote septic in. But my concern is that we don't have the ability, as fortunate or unfortunate as some might say, to grow our complex here. I have would you agree that it would at least make sense to study going forward what it would take to replace the system? I'm not asking you to do this. Replace the wastewater treatment center, and also to make upgrades to the water system as future projects. I don't think you'd be opposed to looking at that, would you?
No, sir. I think we would do just like we do with the water. I would recommend we do just like we did with the water, and we hire an engineer firm that's going to study it and look at it, just like we did on the water side. I would also think going forward what would be helpful for that is if they have an idea of how much we're going to add to that, so they, you know what I mean? If I just say, can you look at upgrading, they're going to say to me, well, how much are you going to be adding in? And right now I don't have a answer other than to say upgrade what we have for our current capacity. If you're looking at adding on to the complex of some sort, I think it would be beneficial that they know, approximately this, or even if it's just a scenario that's nothing in writing, obviously, but, oh geez, we're looking at, 50 more beds in the nursing home, or whatever the scenario is, to give them something to look at, to put numbers to it, and give us that, I think would be important. But I have no problems with, other than we need money in the budget at some point to pay engineers to look at that and study
So,
that.
Mr. Chairman, I know time is of the essence. I believe I included you in a memo or an email that I included the commissioners in on, or at least two of the three commissioners had conversation with the Water, New Hampshire Department of Environmental Services Assistant Director, who was meeting with the Planning Commission and talking about a surplus of funds that they have available for planning purposes and for municipal projects. And I've asked the commissioners, I've asked them to forward information to the commissioners, but I would think at the very least, looking forward, we should be looking at having the ability of at least 10% more capacity. So I'd start in a number like that, but I just wanted to make mention and have it known that I think it would make sense that the commissioners would look at such a proposal. Wouldn't have a problem with that, Mr. Chairman?
I don't have a problem with that, because that was part of our original agreement with the ARPA money, that we're going to be doing water and sewer. We're fixing the water and sewer issues, right?
I believe so. I think the budget was mostly on the water end at this point. I don't think there was much budgeted on the sewer end at that time when the commissioners did up their ARPA budget.
Right, but I think there was some in there for like replacing the grinders or updating some of the processes that we do now, because I think some of the discussion was they were coming towards the end of their useful life, and there was going to be some money from the ARPA funds to upgrade and replace some of those systems. But if we need to look at expansion, if we're going to do something in this building, I'm pretty sure some of the existing structure outside is probably past its life expectancy.
I would agree with that.
The tanks and everything else, so I would probably say that that should be included in the renovation of this building, and also part of your process if we're going to have kitchen work or things going on in here, additional grease usage, and especially water, if we're going to have people in and out of it, because kitchens use a lot of water between washing dishes and washing pots and pans and everything else. It's a large draw at once, and then a large outflow at once. I would think that that should be part of the ARPA project that they're looking at right now, especially with Siemens. Are they looking at any of that outside of this four walls, or any of the infrastructure that will support this building?
I have not been in those conversations, sir. Other than the parking lot that I've been aware of, I haven't been part of Siemens conversations at all.
Is Siemens looking at any of that? Yes.
Actually, I don't believe Siemens is. We actually had, I believe it was an Underwood Engineering was here last week or the week before, talking about the water system. And just as an aside, I asked them, they really can't give us a number yet as to whether we have, what the capacity is, but I did ask them how long it takes to bring a well online if we need more capacity. And it's a pretty significant amount of time and a significant amount of money. So that would be something to consider, and you're a ways out. I mean, I think, what did they tell us? 6 months to a year to bring a well online?
I think so.
Somewhere north of $500,000 to do it. So it's a significant amount of time and money to do if you want to increase the capacity of the system.
Representative Cordell.
So I think what I'm hearing right now is that any expansion for water, sewer for this building would be incorporated as part of the upgrade project to this building. Is that what I'm hearing?
I haven't heard that, but I think that should be part of the project.
I'm not sure what the whole project is then.
We haven't got that yet.
Right. Well, I heard a 10% figure. I don't know where the 10%.
That was just myself speaking, that if I could, Mr. Chairman.
Please.
That I think it's important that the commissioners out of the ARPA funds and out of this Underwood, whoever's doing the study, can define how many gallons of sewage is figured presently for the anticipated use of this building and everything else you have. And that your number of gallons of water are gonna conform also. There's a sheet of paper around that says it's on the website, what your gallons you're approved for both water and sewer. So I'd like to know that if we're moving forward with projects here, are we in compliance with what we are? And there's been a hesitancy to provide that, so I'm hoping we can pull that together. When for the representative, when you ask a question of 10%, once we know what that number is, and we know what our water, the water study is done, that Will's working with them on the number of gallons, we'll know if we realistically have enough for what we're going to do.
Right.
I'm concerned that we don't have enough sewage capacity and how long that's going to be. And if there's grant money out there, we actively go after that money. And Will's point is, what number do I tell them? And I would say, if we were to say a 10% increase, that would just be a reasonable number. But I'm looking to secure grant monies
Right.
to stabilize our system.
Right. But all I'm aware of is the expansion of this building. So if we can get an estimate of the needs to meet this building, that's, I think, what we should provide to the engineers as our anticipated requirements down the line.
Is Underwood aware of the possibility of an expansion of this building and possible uptick in usage for not so much drinking water, but sewage for occupants?
Underwood isn't doing anything with the sewer. We're working with just on the water side. I would be looking at getting an engineer to answer a lot of these questions and do these studies on the sewer side like we have on the water side. I believe, and I'll double check with our engineer, but I believe they incorporated that this building was going to be primarily office type use in this building, and those numbers were in the figure of our current usage for the whole complex. I don't know that they have numbers based on running a full-time kitchen out of here. I don't think they did that. I think they just did as this building being office space in the future. Well, like I said, I can reach out to her and double check, but I'm pretty sure that's what they based their numbers on of our usage throughout the complex.
So we've done no inspections on this on the sewer side other than
correct. We've
basic.
Other than repairing what's gone wrong, and we've done nothing, no upgrades to the sewer side at this point. Right now, we've been focused on the water side.
Thank you, Representative McConkey.
Yeah, I would just like to emphasize, all the work and all the focus is on the water side of things. And it appears that the only thing they're hoping that the capacity is going to stabilize what we have. No one's talking about the sewer side, our wastewater treatment. And if the assumption is that this is office space only, which is if you were to use numbers, design numbers of 15 gallons per day for every 100 square feet, when you add in a kitchen and other uses, it's inadequate. And I don't know that we've ever accounted for how we accounted for that kitchen. Did we take this out? And that's how we came up with that number. I think a lot of that work can be done without an engineer.
Good question, Representative Brown.
My recollection from the initial meeting with Siemens was that they were aware that we were going to do a kitchen in here, but I don't think they considered any additional sewer or water for the facility. I thought that would be taken care of by existing systems. That's my recollection.
Okay. Well, that's a different, we can certainly have that conversation down the road. I think it would be an interesting one. However, we do have a budget to approve of 365,173. Has that motion
Question,
been?
Mr. Chairman?
Representative Padenal.
Thank you. Thank you for taking my question. Advertising, $200, that wasn't expended last year, and we had talked about hay and being more transparent to the public about when hay sales come available. Have you thought about advertising when the hay is available, and is $200 in the budget enough to advertise when you start taking orders for the hay?
Yes, ma'am. I hope to think $200 is enough. The commissioners are working on the policy and how we're going to do that and where it's going to be advertised. In the past, we've left that figure in there in case there's something we needed to advertise for. It's very rare that we need to. So the avenues of where we advertise, I think, will be set by the commissioners, and hopefully that'll be enough. I know if I was looking for hay, there's a lot of avenues that I would look that's not expensive for the seller to, Craigslist, all these other things, but we're going to have, in the paper, local paper, those will cost money. So I think and hope that $200 is enough, but it'll be a new, I didn't know where to set it because it's a new type of advertising that we're doing, if that answers your question, ma'am.
Yes, thank you very much.
Mr. Chair. Representative Woodcock.
I'd like to follow up once again on Governor Carroll's question. I didn't understand the hay question came out of DPW. So I'm trying to go back to the last meeting we were here, and there's a gentleman here questioning the protocols for the hay purchase, and he was exempt from that, or not allowed, or didn't get it, whatever it was. I was trying to figure out what is that? Is there a protocol? Is there a reason? Is there a process that people, like I could apply for hay or to buy hay, or?
Yes.
Yes, sir. Right, am I in the right department?
You are.
Yes.
Okay. Hey, good, perfect. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, yes, there is a process that we've followed before my time here.
Okay.
What has been brought up is that it's not been as clear to the public and in writing, so the commissioners are developing a policy that will clarify all of that, and that's in writing. So that the gentleman that was expressing his feelings, I believe, wasn't following the proper policy, if you will, the process that's always been done here, and that's led to where we're at. But that's all I'm going to comment on that. But the commissioners have come up with a plan to fix all that, have it all in writing with actual policy, and have a way we advertise it and that it's out to the public.
Oh, yeah, thank you. Back on the hay thing. So did that gentleman, do we have hay left? Or is that gone?
Most of the hay is all sold. It's already been sold by the end of the year. And so what's out there is not the quality that gentleman's looking for. There's been some mulch hay, a few things of that nature.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Back to my
I didn't know what the
original, 365,173.48. Do we have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Thank you, Representative Cordelli. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Representative Woodcock. Any further discussion? Representative McConkey. When you're ready.
Motion by Cordelli, seconded by Woodcock. Account 4302, Department of Public Works. If you agree with the number as published, signify by saying aye. If you're opposed, nay. Cordelli.
Yes.
McConkey, yes. Smith.
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
McDonald.
Yes.
Pednell.
Yes.
Bucco.
Yes.
Woodcock.
Yes.
Burrows.
Yes.
Thank you. Page.
Yes.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
11-0.
Thank you.
May I ask a question of the commissioners before we move to the next?
Can you give me 5 minutes?
I can give you 7 minutes, Mr. Chairman.
I don't need 7. I have 5.
Okay.
Page 2, DPW income, sale of hay and other income, $30,000. You want to speak to that, Will, real quick?
Yes, sir, that's the amount that we usually budget. Most years we are over that. I don't think these numbers are quite updated. They were maybe October numbers. A lot of our revenue came in the fourth quarter. Once we finished haying this year, and then sold, once we had an account and then we sold it. I think we're going to be close to the 30,000. Off of my recollection, we might be a couple grand off, but honestly, this has been the worst hay year that we've had in the 15 years I've been doing hay here. The wettest summer to deal with conditions, and that's why we leave it at 30,000, because it reflects a minimum that I think most years we can do on an average year. 2 years ago, I'll give you an example, in 2022, we were around 43,000. So most years we beat that number, but I budget it to where if we do have a really bad year, what's the minimum I think we can make? And that's the 30,000. And this year, we're right in that ballpark. Could be $1,000, $2,000 less. I don't know the final numbers yet, but I know we were really close.
Thank you, Representative Cardinal.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you for taking my question. We have a farm. I have a farm. We had more trouble getting hay in 22 because of the drought than we did in 23. In 22, we had to order from somebody in Maine. And in 23, our local supplier was able to cut enough. How many first cut bales and how many second cut bales did you get this year?
I can get back to you. I wasn't prepared to bring that today in numbers. So I'd have to look at it, to be honest. We don't really we did very few, I would say about 1,000 bales of first cut square bales, and then everything else we did was round bales. And there was a combination of first cut, second cut, and we did get some third cut off of a few fields this year. So it did have its, to speak to the difference in the years, real quick, it grew really well because there was a lot of rain, correct? But a lot of our fields that are very wet, we couldn't get on those fields. So some of the fields that are drier, I got 3 cuts off because it grew back so well. A lot of fields that are wet, I could barely get first cut off of, so that was the difference. Our soil, because we did it the last about 8 years, we have done a really good soil management, and the numbers and the production coming out of our soil is probably the best it's been in decades. And so even on drought years, we tend to have, the soil holds the moisture pretty good, so we tend to have decent production. It doesn't tend to affect us as drastic as too much water affects us and not being able to get out there.
Follow-up?
Please.
Thank you. What do you charge a bale for a square bale and a round bale? And is it baleage or are they wrapped in dry?
All the above. We do from dry rounds to baleage, wet rounds to, I will charge an extra charge to have wrap dry bales if I have a customer that needs to store them outside. So we range the whole gamut of all that. The round bales, dry round bales were $60 a bale this year. The baleage was $50 a bale. I charged $10 a bale on the dry bales. I charged $10 a bale for wrapping, if we wrap those. That was first cut, 60. I think it was $70 for second. I don't even know if we got any pure second this year in dry. So, the whole list of prices is on our website as well, the county website. I believe it's on there of our whole price list on all the different kind of bales.
Oh, I didn't realize that. Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, 30,000 was our original number. Do we have a motion to approve?
I had a question, Mr.
I'm
Chair,
sorry.
I'm sorry.
Yep. Sorry, I didn't see that. Representative Burrows.
That's okay.
Yep.
Just a quick question. I was wondering if the gentleman could dispel a rumor that one person purchased all of the hay this year from the county.
No, ma'am. There was no one person that purchased all the hay.
Perfect, thank you. Thank you.
Representative Cordelli.
Yes, I would like to move acceptance of line 100, 3405, 054, sale of hay at the amount of $30,000.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Representative Woodcock. Any further discussion? Mr. Clark?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. In favor of the motion of income for $30,000 DPW, is that entirely or is that just hay we're voting on?
It's the whole thing.
It's income $30,000. Motion made by Cordelli, seconded by Woodcock. If you're in favor of that motion, signify by saying aye. If you are opposed, nay. Cordelli.
Yes.
McConkey, yes. Smith.
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
McDonald.
Yes.
Pednell.
Yes.
Bucco.
Yes.
Woodcock.
Yes.
Burrows.
Yes.
Page.
Yes.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
Motion carries 11-0.
Thank you. At your leisure, Mr. McConkey, Representative McConkey.
Thank you. For the commissioners, and discussion grows out of DPW, mention of a policy on hay. Can either of the commissioners that are present tell me where we are with that policy and when it will be published, and if you're taking any outside input on what your policy will end up being?
Policy is in the process of being formulated. I can't tell you exactly when it will be done, but it'll be done in the relatively near future. And we're going to attempt to formalize it in terms of when the hay is going to be available, who it's going to be available to, how much it's going to cost. And it'll be transparent. Everybody will know how they can get it, where they can get it, when they can get it. And there'll be no, it'll be a first come, first served sign up thing. The Carroll County residents will have the first opportunity to put their orders in, and then subsequent people will be able to do that. That's the plan at this point, and I know we're working on it. I don't know exactly where we are, Melissa, but I know it's in
So could I just ask that you might consider that when you're going through that policy, because it runs into issues when residents see hay around and piled and stored and so forth, will there be two prices? I pay for it and I take it now, as opposed to we at the county store it and then they come get it at a later time? I'm just asking.
Honestly, we haven't really actually discussed that. It probably makes sense to do that. You know, I'm the new guy, kind of. I'm into this for the first time, but the fact that we haven't had a formalized policy did lead to some issues that we had this year, and we recognize that. So it's going to be addressed. I mean, and we're happy to take input from anybody. I mean, if anybody's got suggestions or whatever, I'd be more than happy to do that.
It would be all right if the delegation were to suggest some suggestions?
By all means.
Thank you. Could I just ask the commissioners to, and I guess I still have Bill sitting here, can you give me my annual report on what we have for equipment, vehicles, and so forth?
Yes, sir. I'll send that to Melissa to send to
And
you.
I'm assuming we still have a wood processor we don't use?
I wouldn't phrase it quite like that, sir. We do have one, yes. Do we still use it occasionally? Yes.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman?
Representative Cardinal.
Sorry, one more quick question. Thank you. It's to my understanding that, I guess this is to both to Will and the commissioners. It's my understanding that typically you tend to start taking orders for hay around April 1st.
Yes, ma'am.
Can I offer a suggestion that you don't start taking orders until that policy is actually in place?
No, we're not going to.
Okay, thank you.
And it'll be done way before that.
Okay. You never know, it's government work.
All right, thank you. We are running late, but we are doing well. BEAS is the next one, 4449 on page 11. It's always that magical number that just appears.
Yeah. Budgeted at $5,829,397.02. This is a contract with the Department of Health and Human Services. It is required by RSA, and it is a fiscal year contract that runs from July to June. So the fee is split, last year's fee 6 months, this year's fee 6 months.
Wonderful number, 5829397. This gets bigger.
Oh yeah, it goes up every year.
Okay. You guys for formula. I apologize, Mr.
It's okay. Representative Brown.
I just have a quick question. I'm not really familiar with what services we're paying for with that.
Well, in the event that someone asks this question, it says, the purpose of this agreement is to set forth the procedures under which the county will transfer funds for use as the non-federal share of per diem nursing facility payments and CFI waiver programs. I can't give you any more than that, I'm afraid.
Can you give me a copy of that?
Of course, yes.
Representative Cordali.
Thank you. That's something we've talked about for pretty much since I've been here. It's really a trade-off with Department of Health and Human Services for care of the elderly. There had been an attempt one year to have Health and Human Services come in to explain it, and they declined. Several years ago, when Amanda Bavard was a commissioner, she got a list of the detail and went through the entire detail, looking to see who payments were going to see if she could put any more validity to the charges. So it's, as someone said, a mystery number that we rely on Health and Human Services for.
I think the only time we got their attention was when we intentionally under-budgeted.
That's
And
true.
then we finally got some
Yes,
information from
that's
them.
right. Yep, exactly.
Representative Brown.
Just a comment, I do remember us talking about that last year, but I still don't understand it, so thank you, I appreciate it.
Amanda Bavard, she did say that she would speak to anyone about it because she did do
She did a lot of work.
Okay.
research.
Thank you.
Representative Cordell?
Yes, I would like to move the expense line of BEAS 4449056 in the amount of $5,829,397.02.
Representative Brown, do you second?
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Any further discussion?
Mr. Chairman, motion by Cordelli, seconded by Brown, Human Services, account 4449, item 056. The number is as published. If you're in favor of that motion, signify by saying aye. If you're opposed, nay. Cordelli?
Yes.
McConkey, yes. Smith?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
McDonald?
Yes.
Petnell?
Yes.
Bucco?
Yes.
Woodcock?
Yes.
Burrows?
Yes.
Page?
Yes.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
motion carries 11-0.
If I could add one thing to that discussion?
Certainly.
When Ms. Bavard went through that, she was checking to make sure that all those payments listed in the detail were actually to Carroll County residents.
Good point.
Yep. Motion to approve the meeting minutes as we're moving on in our agenda from December 14th. Was our hearing dates for the beginning of our session this year.
So moved.
Thank you, Representative Page. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Representative Cordelli. Any discussion, omissions, changes? Ms. Clerk?
Thank you. If you're in favor of the motion to acceptance of the minutes as dated and mentioned, signify by saying aye. Cordelli?
Yes.
McConkey, yes. Smith?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
McDonald?
Yes.
Petnell?
Yes.
Bucco?
Yes.
Woodcock?
Yes.
Burrows?
Yes.
Page?
Yes.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
motion carries unanimously.
Thank you. Public comment?
Yes, I came from Oak Grove. I'm still talking about staffing, and when we met on the 17th, the CFO had projected that the county was going to be at $1,550,000 and that they were averaging approximately $129,000 per month. As of the end of the year, we've spent $1,736,691. So the last 2 months of the year, we've spent $444,556, averaging $222,000 a month. The HR director that we're paying $92,000 a year for said that, working hard, but she didn't talk about the agency staffing, and I still believe that we need to have a committee, whether the delegation puts a committee together or instructs the commissioners to put a committee together to try to see what we can do to retain staff over there. 2 years ago, we spent under $15,000 on agency staff, and as the end of 2023, we've spent over $1.7 million. To me, you're hemorrhaging there, and we need to find out why we're losing staff when we're not retaining. She's talking about the M&As and L&As, and she was talking about Indeed. I went on Indeed after the meeting of the commissioners 2 weeks ago, and there was not one ad on there from Carroll County. There was not even one ad on there on the Carroll County website for L&As or M&As. It's been corrected this week, but I do not believe that the HR director is doing her job and doing the best possible
That's not.
to advertise for the county to get
Yeah,
out there.
that's a conversation for the commissioners. We don't handle employee issues.
Thank you, but you do handle the funding, and we're up to $1.7 million, and two years ago, we're at under 15,000, and I think it needs to be addressed.
Thank you. Any further public comment?
I'm Catherine Dragonfly from Wolfboro, and I've got to read quite a bit of this because there's no way I can keep it all in my head. Mrs. Burrows, I'd like to first thank you for sponsoring the marijuana bill. I think we're losing millions of dollars in our state.
We do, this is for the budget?
It will be, yeah, sure.
Yep, the budget here.
Yeah?
Yep.
Mrs. Burrows sponsored it up in Conway. But I'll move on. I just think we're losing millions of dollars of tourism because Canada and everything around us down to Washington, D.C. allows marijuana. That aside, I was very confused with the agenda. It was nearly impossible to find anything on the Carroll County website. The agenda page hasn't been updated since 2020. The 2022 county report cuts the nonprofits from 500 to 450 approximately, and now we've cut them again. I had to contact John McDonald at 10:30 last night to find out what time public was, what the agenda was. None of that was on the website. It's near impossible to get any answers. The demographics of our county cover 18 towns with 53,000 residents. 10% of them live in poverty. It's approximately 950 square miles that you guys cover. And I have a lot of questions about the courthouse still. These business grants and loans do not adhere to federal loan. The approach
We don't deal with the courthouse anymore. We don't own that courthouse anymore.
Well, let me skip to the end. You're talking about water and sewer. There was no consideration given to that when the county gave the building away. The president of Hillsdale said teachers come
Excuse
from...
me, are you speaking to the courthouse again?
Yeah.
We're all done with the courthouse. We don't
Why?
own the courthouse.
All right, well,
Nor is it part of
it's
this budget
not done.
process.
It's not done. It's not a finished deal, and that's what I was trying to tell you. There's always the ACLU, the Southern Poverty Law Center. There are other avenues I can take, the media, marketing.
I don't understand what your question is, ma'am.
Well, if you listen to me,
Well,
maybe
you want to talk
would.
about something we no longer own. We're
That's
here to
the
discuss the
problem.
budget.
Okay, let me
So,
skip to
you have
the end.
questions about the budget? Or
Yeah.
public comment about
Yeah.
the budget?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll skip right to the end. There are 18 men in this room when I walked in, and I would like to remind you all that you would not be here without a woman. Would somebody please tell me why we charge 10 cents for a tampon? We don't charge men for toilet paper. And yes, it should be out and back in. I know you're talking millions and millions of dollars.
We charge,
But why are
for
why are we-
tampons?
Yeah, and I've complained to the commissioner's office twice. Could you pass that up to him, or should I just walk out there? Thank you, Melissa. This is the one where they all knew it was Hillsdale because of their January 17th meeting. The other thing I want to say that isn't budget related, but it's people related.
I don't know. Say that again?
The other thing I would like to bring up that is not necessarily budget related, but maybe we could use that $200 in advertising. I'd like to see a sign outside so anybody might know where you are. I don't think it's fair that there are so many Republicans. I'd like to see more women on the board. I'd like to see it more like the Senate, where we have an equal amount of women and men. And I'd like
How
to...
do we do that budgetarily?
How about putting up a sign? How about advertising? Looking into different ways that we could accomplish that. And I think we should have consistent dates and times when these meetings are, so I didn't have to contact John at 10:30 at night. I felt like I was being stonewalled, let's say, and I shouldn't...
Not by me, Kathy.
No.
Did you reach out to the
Thank God,
chairman?
John. Come again?
Did you reach out to me?
I don't know who you are, sir.
Pretty sure it's on the website.
That's my point.
Yeah.
These things are not on the website. They're
I think
not.
all our information is on the website.
John, it's not on the website, is it?
I talked to Melissa, and she's gonna try to help make things.
Okay, but it's not on the website. Would you please tell them it was not on the website?
I can't find information on the website, so I'm not the best person to talk about it.
Mr. Chair, Mrs. Steven has
Yep.
information.
Where was
Just
that?
to confirm, Mr. Chairman, that your meeting was properly posted on the website, if you had any questions.
I didn't have any questions. I knew it was posted. Thank you.
Thanks for listening to me. And why did we give the building away for $1? That was my question.
Again, we no longer own the courthouse. We're not going to discuss it any further, ma'am.
We own 800 acres, this county does. The courthouse that you gave away,
You're going to be out of order soon.
see, that's the thing, nobody wants to talk about it.
We've talked about it for 7 months prior to the sale.
No,
You had
you
plenty of
didn't.
time.
No, you didn't. You ran a 3-inch ad on the left-hand page before the fold on the inside. Anybody who does marketing knows that's not correct. You don't notice people. You know, I had to pay $75 to get the Conway Daily Sun. I am sure there are people in the North Country, part of that 975 homeless kids that we've got just in our 5-town area. Governor Wentworth is $13,000 behind in just school lunches.
What does that have to do with the county budget, ma'am?
Everything.
What?
Everything.
It's not in our
I
budget.
think we should be taking care of our kids first. They are our future, and they're being ignored. I think you had the opportunity in those 7 months that you should have thought about them. And I don't think people look into those things in any depth.
Thank you. Anything else to come before the delegation? Representative
Couple of
Cordelli.
things. Thank you. I would just like to request that the commissioners take a look at the list of questions I submitted related to the budget back in December. I've got an additional copy here for you. And secondly, I'd like to point out that on the 18th, which I think is this coming week, there will be a presentation to the commissioners by a company called Education Freedom Logistics, who Representative Petronell and I had worked with in relation to community electricity aggregation for Ossipee and Tuftonboro. They will be coming to the commissioners to talk about group net metering and possible rebates to the county for working with small generators. Their clients include COAS and Sullivan Counties, UNH, and the state of New Hampshire. So I think it might be a very interesting conversation for anyone who wants to turn into the commissioners' meeting.
Thank you. Anybody else have anything coming for the delegation?
Questions?
Representative Woodcock.
Mr. Chair, is there any thought of any more options for a process on budget review? Are we going to maintain this process we have now, or is that the...
I was just about to bring that up.
Perfect.
I would like to have a discussion about having the executive committee finish the rest of this budget and then present it to the delegation. It's been difficult to get a quorum in person the last couple tries we had. It's easier to schedule 5 people than it is to schedule 15. Just wanted to gauge everybody's feeling on that prior to moving forward. Representative McDonald.
I know my voters want me to attend the budget hearings.
You certainly can. I was just, this is a...
But can I participate in the process? Okay, yeah.
Representative McCondelli.
Yes, I just want to make sure that this process will be open if other members want to attend, but also it'll be transparent, and any of our recommendations from the executive committee will come back to the full delegation for review. Is that my correct understanding?
Yes, and there will be some portions that we will not address that the full delegation will address. Representative McDonald.
Can we make motions to increase or decrease certain budgets?
Certainly.
Okay, thank you.
It will also be a day-long.
How about just decreases?
It was a request for the CFO, and I like the idea of having it done in one day. We've done a large chunk of it here. We have a larger chunk left. However, I think we were moving along fairly well today with all the department heads here. I think the CFO can clean up the rest of the questions that we have moving forward on the rest of the budget, aside from a couple issues that we will bring to the full delegation. So I just want to gauge that the rest of the delegation would like us to proceed that way, or we can just continue having 2 or 3 hour meetings when we can, because I know we have a very large agenda at the House this year, and it's going to be, and it has been difficult for the last couple of weeks to get us here with meetings, and we want to make sure that everybody has the time to process their budgetary requests. Representative Woodcock. Representative Page.
For clarification, the process you're proposing is that the executive committee meets to go through line by line, but then brings the budget back to the full delegation to vote on the recommendation of the executive committee. Am I understanding that correctly?
That is correct. We would make changes prior to bringing it back to the delegation.
That seems wise to me. I would support that.
Thank you. Representative Woodcock.
Similar to Representative Page's question, if the exec committee meets on the other areas of the budget, following up on Representative McDonald's question, so if, for example, Representative McDonald came, you're on the executive board, eh, John?
What's that?
You're on the executive committee.
No.
If he came to that meeting, would he be allowed to vote as part of that because he's there as a representative, or would it just be the executive committee?
It would just be the executive committee vote, but we would obviously take into his consideration his thing, because he can also make the motion at the full delegation to make that change as well.
All right.
I'm just trying to streamline the process, because that's what we've worked through the last few years, is to, get rid of the subcommittees and move forward to where it's centralized with the CFO to be more of a streamlined process for us, so it takes less time away from our legislative duties, because we have a lot this year.
So just one more follow-up.
Sure.
So you would then publish the date, you're talking about an all-day affair.
Yep.
In advance, so any of us that could be available would be allowed to come.
Certainly.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Representative Cordelli.
Will the commissioners be feeding us for that all-day budget session?
I have no idea.
Is it in the budget?
What have we done in the past?
This is something new. We haven't done a full day with...
It's been a long time since we had food, but,
I'm sure we'll find a way.
There's food.
We're not gonna let you starve.
right?
There's food one way or another.
There used to be food every time, isn't
And is that amenable with the CFO?
Absolutely.
Thank you. And can we just check with the department heads as well if they want to attend?
Sure.
They're available on those days, at least that day.
Yeah. Do we have a date?
Do we have a date?
We have to notice for the Hales location budget 20 days prior to. We will also be accepting that at the executive committee as part of our duties, and then we'll bring it to the full delegation for a vote. So that would be the quickest we would be able to do that is February.
February 3rd, which is a Saturday.
Saturday or Friday?
That would be, Saturday is perfectly fine as long as the other members are okay with that.
Question.
Representative Woodcock.
Yes, is it possible that the nonprofit section of the budget not be included in the executive session so that we sit down as a group for that?
That was one of the ones I will be leaving out to the end of the budget and bring it back for full delegation discussion.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Representative Brown.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I would prefer to be, as a whole, delegation, but I am agreeable to doing it with the executive committee as long as I can attend.
Of course you can.
Thank you.
It'll be full attendance, we'll take questions and whatever else. We're just trying not to
Yep.
do this
Yep.
4 or 5 times and trying to schedule around everybody's, because
I understand that.
if there's subcommittees on certain committees that meet on Fridays now, that will take 3 or 4 years out, and then we have a hard time making that quorum.
This gentleman's trying to ask a question, but this came up after, I don't know what he's going to talk about, I'm assuming this.
I just have a quick question.
Sure. Come on up, Dallas.
Is it gonna be open to the public?
Of course.
Okay.
Yep.
That's my only question.
Yeah, 100% open and transparent. It's something new we're gonna try.
Yeah, I have no other problem with it. I just wanted to make sure it was open to the public.
Yeah, because I think other counties do the same thing. They're sick.
Yes.
Ed, are you okay with that?
Yeah, whatever you want.
And Zoom will be available as well?
Yes.
Representative Coleman.
I was just going to make the point the chairman just made. Many of the other counties do exactly that they work. So they have such a large body, they can't get a quorum, so they work through a lot of that in executive committee and bring it back.
Representative McDonald.
We're scheduled for the 19th of this month, so is that off?
Depending the outcome of our discussion.
Okay.
We will have less meetings, of course, and that's where we're trying to get us.
Well, that $7 mileage is important to me.
And that's $25.
You got to get elected.
Zoom in, John.
Representative Cordelli.
Thank you. Would the chair like a motion related to this?
The chair would like a motion to that to make sure that there is we're on a clear path.
Thank you. I would then move that the executive committee of the delegation meet to further discuss the budget, make suggested changes to the budget where necessary, and that be at a public meeting, and that any changes suggested by the executive committee brought back to the full delegation for review and vote.
Thank you, Representative Cordelli. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Representative Woodcock. Sorry, John. You get your first.
I like the idea.
Motion been made by
You don't need the
Cordelli,
$7.
seconded by Woodcock to move the budget process to the executive committee for further review, to which the recommendations will be brought back to the delegation for their consent and approval. If you're in favor of the motion.
Representative Bucco.
I just have a question about it. Does the executive committee have alternates? Are there alternates?
No.
Okay.
Would it be a scheduling problem for you on a Saturday?
Well, I don't know, but.
Okay.
Who makes up who's on the committee right now?
1, 2, 3. Representative Bucco and Representative Burrows.
So
Please.
from our side of the table, if Representative Bucco or Burrows doesn't make it, I ask Representative Page or I'd be allowed to fill.
We would have to have a vote to remove one and then place on another.
We'd be happy to do that at the time, right before the meeting.
We would have to, the full delegation would have to do that.
Oh, okay.
Yes,
Let's do that now.
it would be a reorganization of the executive committee. We would need a full
Okay.
delegation vote.
Thank you.
And probably a public hearing to do that, because we usually do that during our public hearing for, when we organize.
Okay.
We have that, it has to be noticed specifically. But if there's, if he can't make it, we're still going to move
Okay.
forward.
So in the next,
Please.
the next year, in the next organization budget meeting, next organizational meeting, it'd be appropriate to ask that there are alternate from each, just to be available.
Yeah, I don't know. It's
It's
not
something
in-
new.
It is, but it's not in the RSA that we can have alternates to the executive committee.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I don't have any.
That's fine,
Yep.
that's fine, that's fine.
Yep, if you want to make that change right now, we have 8 members, we can make that change right now.
No, because Representative Bucco and Representative Burrows are here.
Okay.
Why can't we do that? If, do we have enough people?
Because you don't know who's not going to be able to be here.
Can you rephrase the question, Representative Burrows?
Okay, I think Representative Woodcock was asking if somebody could be replaced, am I correct? representative?
Yeah, so that, if there could
And
be a,
if you are interested in being on it, could we vote for that today?
no, absolutely not, that wasn't the question. No, I wasn't interested in being on it, I was interested if Representative Bucco or you could make it, Representative Page or I would be allowed to fill, that's all.
Oh, I was hoping you wanted to replace us.
No, you did a hell of a job, Peter. Thank you.
Was that a motion, Representative Burrows?
No.
All right, any further discussion? As this is something new, I'm sure there'll be growing pains with it, and I'm happy to take the heat if this doesn't go well. Mr. Clark?
Cordelli,
Yes.
McConkey, yes. Smith,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
McDonald,
Yes.
Petnell,
Yes.
Bucco,
Yes.
Woodcock,
Yes.
Burrows,
Yes.
Page,
Yes.
and Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
Motion carries 11-0, unanimous.
Thank you, and I thank everybody's indulgence for moving into a different direction. Thank you. Representative Bucco.
So do you have a date?
The earliest we could meet was February 3rd, so we'll probably do February 3rd or February 10th, depending on what is on either side of those for you guys.
Those are both Saturdays, right?
Right.
Yep.
And you plan to come in and stay here all day?
I'm planning 10 o'clock to 4 o'clock,
Okay.
somewhere in there. It could be 9 to 3, it could be 11 to 5, depending on how everybody's availability is.
I'm assuming the appropriate refreshments.
And it comes with lunch.
I would probably say if I need to bring lunch for all of us, I'm happy to.
You know a restaurant we could get that from?
I don't know of any off the top of my head. But I will, if it comes down to having to bring something, I'll send out something to all of you that we can fill out.
Definitely coming for lunches.
I know you will.
Increase attendance for.
All right, seeing no other business before the Representative McDonald.
19th is off the schedule.
As far as I see right now, yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'll have Melissa send out a clarification email to everybody. Okay. Seeing no further business before the delegation, we will recess this meeting to the call of the chair. And we will have our executive committee meeting for a few quick transfers.
447.
4:48.
So do you add
Not sure I have a...